Welcome back to Africa 54. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. One of the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals is to provide clean and reliable energy to people worldwide. The residents of the Kakuma refugee camp in northern Kenya are among those in need of better energy sources to light, cook and work in their homes. But progress has been held up by their murky legal status and the lack of money to buy the products. Mohammed Yusuf reports.
Most refugees living in Kakuma have grown up using candles or kerosene-powered lamps to light their homes. This year, some have switched to solar power and say they like the savings.
Life was very difficult before because we didn't have the technology we have today. Before, we were buying kerosene costing 100 shillings to light our home. We were incurring lots of expenses day after day. If you compare the expenses now, I'm only spending 30 shillings a day.
The United Nations Global Initiative for 2030 aims to provide clean, reliable and sustainable energy to people as part of an effort to elevate poverty, improve lives and raise living standards.
The target is definitely achievable and it has to be achieved. However, the pace that we are moving at does need to be significantly accelerated. A sustainable energy access is not going to be reliant on aid and handout, but rather on a robust market ecosystem.
So the UN is working with the private sector, technicians, financial institutions, humanitarian agencies and governments to move toward the goal. Currently, World Bank figures show 6 out of 10 people living in sub-Saharan Africa have no electricity, and the situation is even worse in rural areas. Some observers say the legal status of refugees, the fact they are not allowed to work, and doubts that they can afford to pay the alternative energy have put off companies from investing in these camps.
Frequently there's this misperception that people don't have access to money, and in some cases that's true. But if we can tap into the limited resources that development partners and donor agencies have, and the money that people have in their pocket, we can help make everything more efficient, make the whole system more efficient, more competitive, so people have access to greater opportunities and greater options.
David Mano's children, who do their studying by solar-powered lamps, are living proof that alternative energy has a future in Kakuma and other places where refugees are forced to gather. Mohammed Yusuf for VA News, Kakuma, Kenya.
After over a century of housing most of Egypt's ancient antiquities, the Egyptian Museum is about to be replaced by a bigger museum, but officials say the landmark site would not lose its prestige. The country is celebrating 116 years of museum in Cairo as it prepares for the opening of a new one. Have a look.
Bright lights illuminate the Egyptian Museum in Cairo's Tahrir Square at the celebration of 116 years of its existence as one of the country's main tourist attractions. It's been the country's main location of Egyptian antiquities for over a century. But a bigger museum, the Grand Egyptian Museum, is under construction. As soon as the doors of the new museum open next year, antiquities will be moved. But officials insist the old facility will not become obsolete.
As you know, that Egypt now is progressing, the work is progressing very well in the Grand Egyptian Museum of the Pyramids and the National Museum of Egyptian Civilization in the Fusat area. So all Cairo museum lovers were really afraid that this museum will die. Our ceremony this evening is to tell the world that this museum will never die. And we worked on this gallery, and you see it's a revival of the project.
Egyptian authorities say the old museum will remain relevant, as it will be used to display recent discoveries as well as antiquities from overpacked galleries and storerooms.
There is the Egyptian Museum in Tahrir, a museum of civilization, and the Grand Egyptian Museum, Islamic museums, Coptic museums, and ancient sites. These make up new methods of attracting people. So we are saying that the Egyptian Museum will not die.
Highlights of the evening are exhibitions of ancient Egyptian antiquities, including a 20-meter-long papyrus said to be the longest on display in the country. With the new Grand Egyptian Museum, Cairo hopes to boost its tourism industry that suffered from the turmoil that followed a 2011 uprising.
A recent proliferation of craft gins and new distilleries has taken over South Africa's bar scene. But this is not your average gin. Distillers say South African gin is infused with unique local flavors like Fynbos, Rooibos, Marula, Siletium, and other distinctive South African botanicals that they feel will take the world's taste buds by storm. Viewers, Anita Powell reports from Gin Town, aka Johannesburg.
Gin is in South Africa. In the past few years, artisanal gin has exploded on the scene of a nation better known for its wines. At this Johannesburg wine shop, sales manager Thabang Mamkeli says they stock several dozen South African gins, but can't keep them on the shelves.
We play around with more, botanicals and just trying to do something different. Like I said, we're not governed by rules.
Craft gins are reinventing the colonial-era image of a spirit once used to liven up anti-malarial tonic water. This popular Johannesburg gin joint is living proof. Gin is cool. Workshop 55 offers numerous international and local gins, expertly mixed. Owner Julie Solero says of all the drinks in all the world, she's thrilled to see gin taking off in South Africa.
I think it's been big in the UK now for 10 years, quite a number of years, and only really big in South Africa, I would say, in the last 4 or 5 years.
Dozens of craft distillers now crowd the market, offering a taste of South Africa with unique, local botanical flavors. But this is not your grandmother's gin. Nick Taliakis, sales manager for 2-year-old distiller Ginologist, says he thinks South African gins can go global.
The flavor is immense, it pops, it explodes in your mouth, and it really feels you wishing to both have more and to go out and try so many other gins.
Distiller Curtis van Biljon infuses his brew with Rooibos, an earthy, tannic leaf commonly drunk as tea. He says it blends well with gin's citrusy, herby base flavor, the juniper berry.
The reason gin is first is because the distillers like myself getting on making craft products. Gin has the shortest maturation period, and we have the most flora available to us in South Africa for testing and being able to try new products and be creative with.
At the wine shop, Mamkeli says he expects South African gin to take off internationally.
This is us bringing what we do best to them.
It's too delicious, he says, to keep in South Africa. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
That is a really delicious.
Well, and that's our show for today. You can also visit us online at voaafrica.com. I'm Vincent McCory in Washington. Chamberlain also has our last word from Lagos.
It's always a pleasure, and we look forward to bringing you another show next week. ChannelsTV.com is your source for news and other programming. I'm Chamberlain Oso. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.